vulnerability is a quality we all look with, oh, it's bad. That's how we look at many of us. So I want to
Yes.
change the perception and tell you how strong vulnerability can be in our lives. Is that, Preetha, you have thought about this subject is interesting because, especially being a kindergarten teacher, I think we are able to help children who are a little more vulnerable into bringing the best in themselves.
Exactly. We are the first teachers, or first, you can say, the outsider. Other than the parents, I think LKG or the UKG teacher, they are the first outsider they are meeting.
Absolutely.
Other than the family. So they are, so vulnerable. The kids are really, they need a kind of support, and we have to be able to support them effectively.
So I was interested by this topic, how to deal with vulnerability. It's an issue we all face. We get intimidated at times. We feel it's a weakness and all that. So I would like to know how we can improve on that and make our weakness our strength.
May I hope that there is no need for us to rush so much about what you wish to become, because unfortunately I think we put so much of pressure on children that by the time our children are maybe in their 50s, they are like, I don't want to be in this job anymore. I think it's very important you take your time and then decide what you wish to do. When we talk about vulnerability, the first thought that comes to our mind is, oh my goodness, I don't want to be vulnerable. I don't want to get hurt. There is some good news for all of you. Interestingly, vulnerability is about showing up and being seen. It's tough to do that when we are terrified about what people might think or see. The word vulnerable, it's weakness. It's weakness, it's fear, it's hurt or betrayal. And none of us want to go through such kind of traumatic emotions or experience it. Let's get to know a little bit more about the word vulnerable or vulnerability. What I'd like to tell you here is vulnerability is not a sign of weakness and can be your greatest strength. How can it be so? Basically, what I would like to tell you here is being vulnerable does not mean that you are winning or losing. It's about having the courage to open up yourselves to experiences, to situations, to emotions which you may initially have no control on. And at the same time, to associate with vulnerability, you need to be aware of your situation. You need to be aware of who you are. What are your strengths? What are the areas you need to improve on? Building empathy and understanding is very, very important and so much a part of being vulnerable and being who you are. A lot of people are just very, very happy that they are able to help. So whether it was school or college, till I finished my degree, or rather the structured kind of education, let's put it, I was never a good student. And that definitely had affected my self-confidence and my self-worth. It actually took me to accept the fact that being vulnerable is fine. But the fact is, unless I'm willing to accept my vulnerability, I'm willing to accept the fact that I may not have all answers, and I can get the answers if I look for it and work hard. Till then, vulnerability is something which you don't want to be associated with. So I think once you start feeling sure about what your convictions are, you're going to be a lot more proactive in helping people because it matters to you how others are. I'm not saying we would be able to help everyone in this world, but even if you're able to change one person's life for the better, I think it's worth our efforts. So increasing our self-worth, at the same time helping others to get their self-confidence, self-esteem. That plays a huge role. And the next thing is about allowing us to work together. How can we work together? Teamwork is having a common goal, respect, dedication, focus, and of course, the desire to bring out the best in each other. The next thing is about overcoming emotion, negative emotions. If we are able to accept the fact that vulnerability is very much prevalent in our life, we are also able to accept the fact that we can overcome it. What will others think? Now that is something which is extremely destructive in being able to take vulnerability as a strength, because we are so very aware about what others would think about us that we are unable to accept the fact that the reality is anyway people are going to think what they want to think. So I think self-motivation is a track that is not easy to get onto. But I have actually today stopped a great deal about thinking about what others would say. But to expect that from a school-going young girl or a boy would be difficult, in all honesty. And I completely accept that.
That never expect anything from anybody. When you stop expecting things from people, they may be emotional or whatever, then only you will be happy. You would always, whenever I used to crib, you would say,
stop expecting from people. Number one. Number two, what will people say? So what? I can assure you that people will still say something or the other, no matter what we do. And sometimes it might even be because you want to help somebody. Still, they might kind of rebuff the help. But that is something we have to accept. For example, when we are helping someone, we have to accept the fact that we are doing it because we want to. The moment we start thinking that, oh, I did this because, it's something that, I think they would require and I'm doing it for them. So, they need to keep that in mind. The moment all these things come into the picture, we lose the focus of what we set out in the first place. Conscious about what we are doing when we are not bothered about people. Are we doing the right thing? Are we sticking to our principles? And we should not be hurting anybody. So keeping all these factors in mind the criticism. Consider if there is some truth in it. But if you cannot find any truth in it, leave it. So I think we need to balance out where we need to give the importance with regard to people in our lives, the respect we give people, the appreciation we get from others, and the understanding that we are all so mutually connected. Into thinking that being vulnerable will make us look silly, we don't want to open ourselves to people. We don't want to let them know us so well that they have the power to disappoint us. So what do we do about it? How are we able to cultivate a sense of belonging in our life? At the same time, make vulnerability our strength. The first thing would be to ensure there is greater connectivity within yourself and of course the outside world, is to take good care of your physical health. The first thing. The second thing is make a conscious decision to reduce stress. And how? We would all have heard about yoga, exercises, meditation. What else can we do to reduce stress? So reducing stress is very important, and reducing it through positive methodology can help us even find ourselves a lot more easier, and at the same time accept our vulnerability.